How about things are really heating up around here? No. I hope this channel isn't too hot for you. No. No, I got it. It's like a fire sale. Everything must go. No, that doesn't even make any sense. I could just do this. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see all of you once again. But if you're new here, welcome just the same, because you have found the right place. This is the show where we talk about each and every episode of shows and episodes that we grew up on watching cartoons as a kid, particularly a lot of the DC, the animated series world shows. It's not what they're called at all. And right now we're going through all the episodes of the new Batman Adventures. We're just approaching the end of the first season. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button so that you don't miss any of the episodes as they come out, because we've got some great episodes on their way. Just like today's episode talking about Torch Song, which originally aired on June 13th, 1998.
Come on, Slowpoke. We don't want to be late.
For those of you that know anything about me, you know that I'm a huge Batman fan, a huge Batman the Animated Series fan, a huge animated cartoon DC fan in general. But even I have a few episodes that just don't cut the mustard. But every once in a while, as much of a fan as I am, there is certainly, I don't love every episode that I see. And this episode, I'll be honest with you right up front, it's not one of my favorites. And it's certainly not an episode that I'm crazy about. But we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second rundown of the episode. I think I can do this one. Bruce Wayne is drugged by his girlfriend to the hottest concert in town, pun intended, to see Cassidy, this singer, pop star, rock star. And backstage, we see that Cassidy's boyfriend is really jealous of her, and his name's Garfield, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. He goes up into the technician's booth and lights the stage on fire while she's singing. And then she gets away because Batgirl also was at the concert, and she saves her. And then Garfield turns into Firefly and goes to the recording studio, again, lights it on fire, and kidnaps Cassidy. And Batman, using a new fireproof suit, goes and saves Cassidy, and that's the end. Maybe my best time so far?
Whatever you thought we had is as cold as a burnt-out fuse.
But really, there's not a lot to this episode. It's a pretty cut and dry plot. It is the introduction of Firefly villain, and they set up a little bit of a backstory there where he's jealous of his girlfriend, and she doesn't want anything to do with him, and he's a hothead.
And if you think I'm going to step aside like one of your pretty boys...
And he's trying to get her back, and he's trying to find ways of getting her, and she doesn't want anything to do with him, so he kidnaps her.
Talk is cheap, Cass. Think the police will be as forgiving as you?
So this episode does not start off real strong. I think Firefly is kind of a neat villain, but the story of this, the setup of this story, it's kind of weird in the beginning. One is Batman seems to be dating really young women. The new Adventures of Batman kind of ages everybody up. Everybody's a little bit older. So let's say Batman was 20 or 30 in the original Batman the Animated Series, and now if Dick Grayson is now not in college but is an adult, and Nightwing, we're 5-10 years later, so he's 35, 40 years old, and I don't know how old this young girl is that he's dating, but she's definitely late teens, early 20s, I would say, just based on the demographic of this Cassidy superstar that they're creating, which I think at this time in pop culture, I'm going to really show my cards here because I don't know much about music or popular music. But at this time, I want to say it was, Britney Spears was big, and Christina Aguilera, and maybe Beyonce, some of those superstars. So I feel like that's kind of what they're modeling the Cassidy character after. And the target demographic of those people are, young young girls, preteens, teenagers. I hope that Bruce Wayne is not dating a teenager or a preteen. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and go, well, she's got to at least be over 18, but not by much.
Only the hottest singer in the world, Bruce. What cave have you been hiding in?
And then they go into the concert, and to me, her music is terrible. Like, they didn't even do a good job of ripping off pop music for female pop music. I get that they were trying to tie it into the fire theme for Firefly to use that, but it just, that whole opening sequence was just a little rough for me. Also, a nitpicky thing, but who in the world is named Garfield other than the cat?
Let it go, Garfield.
All right, I know I'm being really hard on the opening of this episode, but I do have to say, speaking of Firefly specifically, I really enjoy Firefly as a villain. And as a matter of fact, one of the first, if not the first comic book that I read of Batman featured Firefly. And I remember buying it, and it was a moment in, when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old or whatever, that I made the conscious decision of, I'm going to go buy comic books. I want to read comics. That I went to the store and I was like, I love Batman. I'm buying a Batman comic book, and bought it and came home and read it. And at first I was a little disappointed because I was like, I wanted to see the Riddler or Mr. Freeze or Two-Face or one of these villains that I was familiar with. And I was like, who is Firefly? But after I got over that and read through the episode, I was like, oh, he's pretty cool. Like, that's a formidable threat, and he's a real person. He doesn't have any superhuman abilities. He's just got a blowtorch and a rocket pack, which is really cool. So Batman's fighting this guy flying around in the sky and shooting fire at him. He's a great villain.
Whoever you are, it's over. The name's Firefly.
But a couple of things that they did well in this episode is, one, we have a moment where Batman falls and he gets hurt, and you see him wincing with pain and struggling to get up, which again is something that they do well in the series, that establishing that he is human and he can get hurt, and he doesn't always land on his feet.
Batman, are you all right?
I'll live.
The other thing that they establish in this episode is Barbara Gordon working at the police department, which I think is kind of cool. That obviously she got the job because her dad is the commissioner there, but what a great way of kind of keeping your ear to the ground and knowing what's going on in the city, but to work in the police department. So that I really thought was a neat establishment in this episode.
And guess what? There's an invoice to an address on the east side of town.
Also, there's a really kind of fun Pinky and the Brain reference while she's there, which is pretty fun.
What are you doing tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky.
What?
What I don't remember seeing in the comic books is Firefly has this kind of lightsaber thing, which is really, really cool. Or hot.
Sorry. Gotta fly.
So the episode's not all bad. It does have some neat elements in there, and truly it's fun to watch. But again, another moment that was just scratching my head. Why would you flip a switch that looks like the switch for an electric chair? Why would you flip that? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Let's see what other dirty little secrets he's hiding.
No!
Again, they don't really establish well why Firefly is trying to destroy the city. He wants Cassidy back, and I guess if he's just really angry at the world and angry that she's not in his life, and obviously he's obsessed with her, as you see that little shrine that Bullock walks into.
Whoa, this guy's got it bad. Vincenzo, get some pictures. I'm gonna check the fridge.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence in there, Detective.
Shut up.
The motives don't make sense. That why now is this the city's problem? I get that he is so jealous and so in love with her that he I don't get it, but I can follow the path of logic for him to kidnap her, but I can't quite understand that jump to, oh, now I'm destroying the city.
And while Gotham goes up in flames, you and I will disappear like a puff of smoke.
And then we finally see a little bit of influence from the Superman the Animated Series. We've certainly seen some influence of Batman into the Superman series, but I think some influence went the other way, that Batman now gets this fireproof suit to go fight Firefly. And I have the same complaints about that I have with the other episodes of Superman where he uses a suit is it's kind of a cheat. Like, I feel like there's a better plot device, a better way of Batman being smart enough to outsmart or fight fire with fire, but being able to fight his way through to stop Firefly without having to just get a fireproof suit.
Let her go. I burned you once, Batman. I can do it again.
I mean, I know that's kind of Batman's gimmick, that he has gadgets to be able to stop everybody, but that just seems like it's like a cheat. I feel like I'm really ragging on this episode. But hey, they can't all win, you know? They can't all be the best.
Fan mail from some flounder?
The star that burns brightest burns fastest.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, last week we had Over the Edge hit the #1 spot, and this episode beats it out at the #1 spot. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That is no way. I can't even joke about that. No, this episode, it's fun. I mean, it's still Batman. It's still animated. It's still fun seeing Batman flying through the sky trying to stop Firefly. But overall, the story, the structure, the character, kind of the setup of this episode doesn't work for me. And so it does fall to the bottom of the list of my favorite episodes so far. It even falls below Mean Seasons, which I think ultimately Mean Seasons had a nice little kind of arc to the character and had a little bit more to say in the episode about the theme of the episode in regards to how Hollywood treats women. And so it had a little bit more meat to the story, whereas this one just was a guy that was jealous and burned people.
Hey, you're the expert on burning people, you little tramp.
So I have two questions for you. One is, what was your first comic that you ever read and who was in it, if you remember? And the second part, kind of our ongoing joke in this episode, was some of the fire puns. So what was what's your favorite fire pun from the episode, or your own fire pun that you can come up with? Leave it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the thumbs up button. If you want to see more episodes like this, then just hit subscribe, because I have new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. And this Thursday, we have the last episode of the first season of the new Batman Adventures. Love is a Crock. So you don't want to miss that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode, and I'll see you soon.